This is the kickoff lesson from our rats of how I can help you become a chess master. Lesson number 1. Okay, little problem here. White to play and do the best he can. We will return to this problem soon, so have a quick look and we'll move on. Thought I'd tell you a little bit about my background with chess. Here it is in a nutshell. In 1960, I learned how to play. In 1964, I began reading chess books. I found one at the public library and checked out every one I could after that. Soon enough, I'd find them in the school libraries. In 1967, I joined my first club at school, and a year later got into my first adult club. And then I joined the USCF a little later. In 1972, I was 1500 rated. And I kept at it. In 1975, I worked my way up to about an 1800 rating. And it took a few more years, but 1979, bang, 2000 rating. And then finally, 1981, I achieved 2200 rating, which is a national master title here in the United States. Okay, I can take a 50-year chess career and teach you to become as strong as I in less time. I can help you attain your desired strength up to master level. If you want beyond that, well, you're on your own, but you'll be ready to go. I achieved a master rating, and I know how I did it. I will teach you the same methods. It took me several years. I had to figure it out myself. Now, you are going to benefit from my efforts. In effect, I'm going to teach you to teach yourself to be a better chess player. I will outline a program for you shortly. You will just need to adhere to it. Okay, let's start off. Chess is a game of errors. This is obvious. If nobody makes a mistake, nobody wins. So let's take a generalization here. Half the moves of 1600 rated players are errors. Few of these are serious mistakes, but in most cases there are better moves available. Now this is just a generalization. If you're rated below 1600, you're making more mistakes. Okay? Now let's look at the next step here. A 2200 master makes only 3 small errors per game. Again, a generalization, but look at the gap. Assuming a game is 50 moves, the master is making 22 less moves than the 1600 rated players, or 22 fewer bad moves than the 1600 rated player did. And let's move on just another step. A grandmaster commits 1 or 2 tiny errors per game. Okay, so how does this come into play? If I'm playing the grandmaster, chances are I'm going to make my first small error before he makes his tiny error. But he sees it, he recognizes it, and he plays the best possible move and puts me on the defensive. Now my game is tough. He keeps the pressure on. Eventually I commit another error, and then another, and I succumb and lose the game. Now, if I'm playing, say, a 1900 player, and let's just say that he makes 7 errors in a game. He'll make one of those before I make mine, and I will do to him what the grandmaster did to me. Okay? And it works like this all the way up and down the rating classes. A 1600 rated player will beat a 1200 rated player for the same reasons. The 1200 rated player is going to make more mistakes and make them sooner, and the 1600 rated player gets a position he can play and finishes off the game nicely. Okay. Opportunity exists in every game for you to win. Again, because nobody plays error-free chess. All right. Let's carry on. These are some generalizations. I'm sure you know these, but let's put them all together and see how they fit in. The fewer errors you make, the more games you will win. Okay, we know that. But the more games you win, the higher your rating will rise. Well, we know that too, but let's keep going. This means you will be paired with stronger players in tournaments. Okay? And therefore, you will learn more about chess from playing these stronger players. That's what you need. You've got to be playing stronger players and seeing how they think, how they play, what moves they do. Okay? That's your key. Now, how can we spot mistakes? Let's look at a few generalizations here. All right. A thorough understanding of basic positional concepts is the key, backed up by analysis. Okay, what this means is essentially after the opening, every middle game has a plan, a set plan that you should follow. Well, if you don't know the plan, find one that works. Well, how do you do that? You back it up by analysis. Okay? If you have a strong position going, you calculate. You say, if I go here, what can my opponent do? Well, he does that. If he does that, then I go here. Gee, I like my game. What if he does this? Ooh, that hurts my game. I better find a better move. Okay, we've all been there. So analysis is what's going to help you through, but you got to have a basic understanding of the positions, and we're going to cover a lot of positions in this course. Okay, in the opening, development is usually the correct choice among candidate moves. Okay, so if you've played like 9 moves and your opponent makes what looks like a funny move, and you have you think you see an attacking idea of it, but all your pieces aren't out yet, stop a moment. Before you analyze that, what about just a good developing move that'll keep your position and your game looking good? If anything, that will work, and you can maybe build on this little advantage that he's given you before conducting a premature attack. Okay, maybe your premature attack will work. Well, have a look. You never know unless you have a look. Okay. We play the middle game by following up consistently by coordinating our pieces. This takes practice. You've got to be able to analyze. You've got to be able to see different possibilities, get the pieces on better squares. The better you get your pieces placed on the board, the more opportunities are going to arise. Okay? And the end game follows the same path. Did you trade down to an ending you wish to play? That's a good question. Maybe you didn't want this ending. Maybe you traded into something you want to play. Maybe you know bishop endings are excellent. Knight endings, whatever. You're going to follow up your ending by coordinating your pieces and following a plan. Okay, so how much time for chess? And this is probably the most critical question for everybody. How much time for chess? Well, let's look at a few basics. We all have the same amount of time. And we all work or go to school. Some of us do both. We have to eat. We have to sleep. And this thing here, family and other matters interfere with chess. This is fact. Okay, so therefore, we must maximize our precious time to study and play chess to reap the maximum benefits possible. Now, where's this going? Here. There are things we should study more and things we should study less. Knowing what and when to study it will be covered soon. Okay, here's a question we probably all know the answer to, but let's look at it. Where to play chess? Well, we've got online games available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you want to play face-to-face, over the board, depending on where you live, there should be a club open Monday through Friday evenings. Okay? And then there's always weekend tournaments. Depending on where you live, you'll probably find one every weekend somewhere. And the other way to play chess is through the mail or online. We call correspondence chess. This is available online at many sites with a fast turnaround of moves. Or you can play a little slower by postcard through groups like United States Chess Federation, Correspondence Chess League of America, All Services Postal Chess Club, and International Correspondence Chess Federation. Google these for more information. Okay, what to study? This is a good question right here. Ask 10 chess players this question, you will get 10 good but different answers. And some of these answers might say things like openings, endgames, tactics, famous players, certain books, etc. The list is infinite. The reason it's infinite is because more books are written about chess than all other games and sports combined. So, I believe I have the best answer because it worked for me. And since you're wanting to become a chess master, let me show it to you. You must place your focus into studying your games. Remember, your time is precious, so your time is best spent looking at your own games. And we'll carry on a little bit about this. Why study your games? Well, it's simple. The answer is simple. When you play a game, you are actually studying chess then. So, why not know your strengths and weaknesses like the back of your hand so you may call on this knowledge when you are playing? What if you spend hours preparing an opening and your opponent doesn't allow it? well, you've wasted your time. You might lose the game because you didn't find your strengths and weaknesses. Okay? And conversely, what if you spend hours studying endgames and the game is over before then? So same answer. You've got to focus your attention on your strengths and weaknesses so that you can play a better game. All right. Just by the way, studying your opponent's play is an advanced strategy that will be dealt with in this course. Not today, but soon. Okay, coming back to that position is on the beginning. White to play and do the best he can. If you didn't have a chance to solve it yet, go ahead and pause the video. Take about a minute. It's a pretty easy one. Okay, you should have resumed the video. Let's give the answer. Clearly, White can't move his rook. The pawn is going to promote. So, White draws by moving his king to attack the pawn and capture it. Right? Yeah, absolutely right. Yet, there is more to this than meets the eye, and I'll show you. About chess thinking deficiencies. That's where you think something that you shouldn't because you shouldn't. What goes well once may not go all the time. Okay, so here we go. That game wasn't between two humans. It was played between two old chess programs back in the 1970s. All right, White played rook e1. It saw that if black makes a queen, it wins a queen for a rook. That was its logic. Go ahead, make the queen. And then black did not promote the pawn since it saw it would lose a queen for a rook. So all that happened was the rook shuffled back and forth, and since the computer wouldn't claim a draw, eventually he had to say, oh, it's a draw. Okay? But White could only see a couple of moves ahead. The king is too far away to see it can win the pawn. White didn't even realize the pawn was a threat until it got close to a promotion. Now this is what we call the horizon effect. In other words, how far can the computer see? It can only see so far, and then it can't see anything. It's all invisible after that. Okay? So we humans are affected greatly by the horizon effect because we don't have the calculation problems of a machine. Let's move on. Okay, thinking deficiencies, an example. Rats with a brief video about thinking deficiencies. I observed this particular game in a last round of a Slamato elimination event, and needless to say, you can see the first moves if you want to play the whole game over. I don't need to do that. I just want to show you a few things from this position. It's black to play, and certainly he has some promising possibilities here. If you look at the board, White has these ugly pawns on f2 and f3 that are just not going to go anywhere for a long time, and a bishop that's stuck, it's not going to get out. Black could castle long and attack on the king side in a number of ways. But let's just take a look and see what black does. He plays knight h5, which is perfectly logical, and yet it is the beginning of what I believe is black's thinking deficiency. Okay, what does it threaten? Well, the first idea is that it threatens knight f4 check, and you can see that if the king moves, the queen is going to come down here and take on h3 with check, and it's just about mate. The only thing holding g2 is the knight on e3, and black can probably eliminate that pretty quickly. But it's White's move, so black can't do this yet. Also, if knight f4 check, White may have to take on f4, but the drawback with this is that black recaptures g takes f4, and black has an open file against the enemy king. So certainly black has a lot of potential here. Let's see what happened. How does White handle this? Okay, he starts by kicking the knight, and black once again goes back to his original idea. He wants to get a knight in on f4 with check, and that's what he does. He plays knight e6. Now the idea is to bring the knight on e6 to f4 with check, and if bishop takes on f4, he no longer is going to take with the g-pawn. He's going to take with the knight with check, followed by taking the h-pawn with his queen, and then he's going to try to eliminate that knight on e3 if he can. So black has tremendous attacking possibilities here, but it's white's move. He's got a chance to defend this. Let's see what he does. Okay, here he takes off the knight, getting rid of some of the pressure. Now here's what I'd like you to do. Stop the video and decide which way you're going to retake on e6. Should take about 3 minutes. Okay, at this point you should have decided how you're going to recapture. Before I give the answer, let's just see what happened. Okay, black took with the queen, and this, I believe, is not the right choice. I will say that now, but black is going ahead with his thinking deficiency. He's got this thing on the h3 square eyeballed, and the knight into f4. That's his theme, and he's not really paying attention to what white can do to counter that. Black is also playing too quickly, but black just didn't want to shut that queen off and take on e6 with the f pawn. So let's back it up. Well, actually, let's not back it up. I'll show you the next move. White plays knight f5. Now that diagonal of c8 to h3 is shut off. Black didn't see this coming. I'm surprised, but I guess he has his other theme in mind. He says, I'm just going to check with the knight on f4, and if you take, I take back, and I've got this open file to attack your king. And white takes on f4, and black takes a good look at this and says, oops, I'm lost. Black resigned here. It's pretty obvious. After f takes c4, there's knight takes knight g7 check, winning the queen. So what can black do here? He can castle, I suppose, but then white just drops his bishop back and stays a piece ahead, and should be able to weather the coming attack. Okay, let's just go back where I said black to play and move and do the best he can. And I think this the obvious move, at least now, is to take with the f-pawn. But this comes back to that thinking deficiency. Black does not want to shut off that diagonal. That's what he's been aiming for a few moves, and he's just not going to do it. But sometimes you have to trade one advantage in to get another. Let's look at what this move does. Well, first off, f takes e6 keeps the knight out of f5. It's not there. We still have knight f4 check possibilities. Okay, that hasn't gone away. So just a possible continuation. It's not forced. White might play d4. Black needs to take, then drop the bishop back, and it's white's move here. He could try a4 and black castles, and then a5 and bring the bishop back. And white's got a little counterplay going here. I'm not saying this is the best line for him. He could continue with b4 or queen a4 and try and throw anything at the black king, because it's obvious black's going to get his knight f4 check in, and that's a powerful square for the knight. White may need to take on f4 and just try to hang on here, but it's a playable game, and the culprit here are two things. Number one, a thinking deficiency. And number two, the clock. Black just played too quickly. What was he thinking? You could even say white is playing too quickly. For a game of 15 15 minutes for all your moves, this just went a little too fast. So that's what I want to point out. There's all kinds of thinking deficiencies, and sometimes we have our minds set on one thing and we're not going to give it up for anything. But we have to, or at least we have to consider that maybe we have to, because sometimes it's okay to stay on your right plane. On your original plan, every position is different. It is what is it called for, and in this case, black needed to give up that idea of queen coming down to h3 and just secure things in the center and keep his kingside attack going and play f takes e6. Okay, thanks for looking. Okay, your two-part program to become a chess master. As noted, I will share with you the methods that work with me. You must commit to my lessons. If you're not serious, be content with your current rating and just enjoy what I offer. Okay, you're welcome to come back if you don't want to follow my program. Alright, your strength won't increase overnight, but it will go up as you continue. As noted, the first part is to study your games, and by these I mean standard time control games. Now, how to study your games. Here's generalizations. Basically, you're going to tear your games to shreds, looking for every mistake you made. When you find your errors, dig in. Analyze as many moves and possibilities as you can until you are satisfied you had a playable game with a new move. And now look up the opening. This is the time to study openings. Next time you play this opening, you'll be ready. Again, it kind of seems funny. You're not studying the opening until after you played it. Well, you don't know what you're going to play until you play, so why should you study 5,000 openings or variations and try to remember which one you were studying when that one appears on the board in front of you? So you go learn the opening afterward. You're not at the level yet where knowing openings is critical. That's when you're 2400 international master trying to move up to grandmaster. All right. Next thing, look up the end game. This is also the time, and all the same reasons, okay? And here's a bit of useful advice. Don't use a chess engine to help you out until the end. In other words, when you're finally done, if you're still not satisfied or just want to see what a chess engine might say, now's the time to try one. It'll show things that you may miss. Fine, but you don't want it to prejudice your thinking. You don't want to bring that chess engine in until the very end, if at all. Okay, more on deficiencies when analyzing. Okay, so thinking about that diagram showed us a chess engine's thinking deficiencies. You have to determine yours, and I've already shown you how you work on your games. Now, here's some examples, like what thinking deficiencies might be. Maybe you won't double your pawns when you should. Case in point, the game that just played over. Maybe black said, no, never double my pawns. Never, never, never. And so he was reluctant to take with the f-pawn on e6. Perhaps you will never give up the bishop pair. I knew one player that would sink a knight on a nice outpost on d5 and then immediately exchange it on e7 for a bishop that couldn't move. It was guarding a pawn on d6, and true, it got rid of that backward pawn's defender, but what was the hurry? The knight was controlling b6 and c7, f6. It had all kinds of pressure on the black position. Why did he need to trade it? Okay, so are you intimidated by your opponent's rating and past results against you? All right, maybe somebody's got a 300-point rating advantage on you. Maybe he's beat you 5 straight times and each one is bad, and that's going to intimidate you and make you think a little cowardly during the game, make you not try things you should be trying. So don't be afraid of anybody. Play chess. Okay. Do you avoid complications or welcome them? We don't know exactly if this is a deficiency. Maybe you shouldn't even be playing complications because your tactics are poor, or maybe you should if your tactics are excellent. Again, we've got to weigh each position is different. We've got to weigh them together and make a decision. And you're going to learn more about your thinking deficiencies as we go on. Okay, you won't find all your weaknesses at once. It's going to take time. So don't panic if you play through a couple games and can't identify any of your weaknesses. You're going to find them. All right, let's talk about your strengths. Well, we know you have them. You do win games, all right? Do your openings get you good positions? If they do, then keep playing those openings. That's all. That's a give me. If you get good positions, work on your positional play or your tactics if that is the type of game that results, okay? Now, is the end game your turf? Well, if the end game you excel at, then play your game to play for endings, okay? Now, this is a critical one. Do you maximize your clock time in a game? I sit and watch the online games in Team 45-45 League, and I see people ending with more time than they started with, and they often lose the game in 20-25 moves. What's the hurry? Why are you playing chess? Your idea is to play a long game. 40 in 2 hours, 40 in 90 minutes, these are kinds of time controls I played 30, 40 years ago, and I used my time. I got in time trouble. So did my opponents. Got to use that time. Okay. Are you a positional player or an attacker? Well, ideally, you want to be a positional player because a positional player gets good squares for his pieces, and then the attack comes. So you want to be both. Okay. Do you have a reputation as a good player? Well, this can work in your favor too, just like it can work against you. Okay. So make a note of your strengths. Call on them as you play your games. And we'll learn a lot more about your strengths soon enough as this course continues. Okay, post-mortem analysis. In other words, what to do when the game's over. All right, when your game is over, analyze it with your opponent. Then write down as much as you can so you don't have to rely on your memory. And maybe one or two other spectators will be along and they'll offer some ideas. So always go over your game afterwards at a tournament with your opponent. And here's an interesting thing. After chess club ends, find a coffee shop players will go to and study chess a bit more. Now, this doesn't always work. If you have to go home, go to bed because you have to get up and go to work the next day, or if the wife is waiting for you, well, maybe you can't. But if you can, do it. You'll have a chance to talk to a lot of chess players and look at their games, and you can show them yours. You're going to learn about chess. Okay, and then here, find a friend or two to work with, either in person or online. So this right there, the coffee shop does that. Meet with somebody online, analyze each other's games, talk. You don't have to type. You can hook up various methods of communication where you can speak to each other. Skype, Yahoo Instant Messenger, MSN Instant Messenger, all kinds of ways to communicate. And then here's kind of an interesting thing. Think about your games in your free time without a chessboard. You will find ideas you can check out later. You should be able to do this. If you play chess enough, you could probably play a blindfold game, even if you don't think you can, because you know where all the pieces go. So you think about a position in your head, and you say, gee, what else could I have done here? And maybe you'll find something. This happened for me when I was 1800 strength. I was doing it then, so there's no reason you can't do it either. Okay, let's move on. Your next task, correspondence chess. Okay, this is a give me. To duplicate my success, you need to try this. All right, period. This is one of my methods. And a lot of chess players are against it, but it works. The objections I had from it years ago was the time duration of games. If you're playing a domestic opponent, your moves turn around in 5 to 10 days. If you're playing somebody in Europe, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even longer. Games can go on for a long time. A lot of people want that fixed. They want to play chess right now, whether it be blitz online or a long game that's over in 3 to 5 hours. They're totally against correspondence chess without knowing it. But here, let me give you my results. I tried it twice. It was critical for me going from 2,000 to 2,200. My current strength is unknown because I haven't played over the board since my last venture into this brand of play. And I played countless games against 2,200 rated players, including many with international titles. I beat and drew with several international masters and international grandmasters at correspondence chess. And I learned a lot, and I'll be sharing it with you. So this worked for me. And what happened, I was studying chess all the time. I was sitting there working out variations, studying openings, studying endgames. I got better. More on correspondence chess to come. Okay, we don't want to overwhelm you with this, so make it simple. Start with just 2 games online, so you get a white and a black. Or try 1 section by mail, which is about 6 games. Okay? Now, here's another key. Plan on spending up to 3 hours per move. This time is recommended by former World's Correspondence Champion Hans Berliner. Now he said it, I didn't, but 3 hours per move. Now you don't have to do this in the opening, and there'll be many cases where you can reply in just a minute, but you want to be digging into the position, seeing what you can come up with. See, when you're playing correspondence chess, you're looking at all the possibilities you see. And if you see more than your opponent, you're going to win. So that's why you want to spend 3 hours. The more you look, the more you'll see, and the better you'll play. Okay, so here, 3 hours per move is perfect for you. It allows you time to dig into the position and find the best moves. Your work analyzing your completed games will now pay you dividends. Okay, so now you've been analyzing your old standard games. Now you're going to turn it into correspondence play, that effort, that energy, and you're going to do well. Okay? Now, here's another neat thing. You may consult opening and endgame books and databases. So now is another time to learn these concepts, but when it counts in a game. Before I said study it after the fact. Now I'm saying study it during. So gives you a great chance to learn your openings better. So correspondence chess is pretty much win-win across the board. Still more. And I already gave these sites. You can Google them for more information. And here's a couple other notes. You will play at least a class above your current strength. And yes, so will your opponent, but that's what you want. You want good competition. Remember, the stronger player you play, the better you're going to play, because you're going to learn from his play. Okay? Again, here's key. Keep notes of everything you analyze. You will need to consult these notes to recall your work from prior days, lest you spoil your game. Now, in my time with correspondence chess, I didn't have a personal computer, so I kept handwritten analysis, pages and pages and pages of it. I had my opponents separated by dividers, and I'd keep the analysis there, and I definitely had to go back and look because I couldn't remember everything I'd planned 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this is good. You're writing down notes, and then you're checking them later when the position comes up again. Well, I wrote this down. Is it? Let's double check. Is it sound? Yes, it is. Oh, no, it isn't. Better find something else. Okay. So you got to keep notes. And the more notes you have, the better you're going to play. Okay. You're now on the road to becoming a chess master. Okay. I've given you the 2-part program to succeed at chess. You can stop following my lessons now and try it all on your own. Okay, what are those 2 parts? Study your own games and play correspondence chess. However, but I hope instead you add the 3rd part and follow my lessons. They will give you a wealth of information you may apply to your play. Each one's going to be different. Each one's going to have something new. Each one is going to help you. Okay, bookmark my blog, becoming-a-chess-master.blogspot.com/. And then watch for updates. I plan to post new lessons every week. Alright? So you got to keep that thing bookmarked. You got to keep watching. That way you find the new lesson when it comes out. And I've got a Facebook account which you'll find a link to on my blog. Add me as a friend. Okay? Get involved there. And in closing, watch my videos over again. Doing that helps you absorb the content more thoroughly. Okay, so have a second, third look at them. And then remember, these lessons are free, but I do accept donations. You can see my blog for information. If you can't donate, that's okay. But please, please, tell your friends about my blog. I want a big audience. I want to be able to talk to a lot of people. I want to be able to share with a lot of people. Just imagine if everybody that played chess was a master. How much better would we get as a result of that? Okay, let's get more people up to master, not just you. Okay, we're going to do it. Email or message me questions about the lessons, and they will be addressed in my coming live lectures and posted to the comments section of these videos. Okay, in short, what this means is you can message me on various chess servers and boards. You can send me an email and say, I have a question about lesson 1, write it out. Okay, now soon I'll be doing live lectures starting with ICC. If I can do them elsewhere, I will. I'm working on all that. And I will take these questions, I'll answer them live, but then I'll take the text, I'll go back to this YouTube video in the comments section, and I'll post a list of every question everyone asked, so that everyone's going to see all of the updates to it, okay? And here's the good thing, there is no end in sight for my lessons. They will keep coming far into the future. I've got hundreds of games to show you. Each one has something unique and something that may have already been seen but bears worth repeating. So I'm gung-ho about this. I'm going all out. I don't know how long, 3 years, 4 years. Hopefully you'll be a master before then, but that's how many years of lessons I've got. We never know who's going to come in down in year 2, 3 and might want to start from the beginning and catch up. But even if you are a master, keep following these things, because they'll tend to be a lot more in here than that you will need to know that you may not yet know. In closing, also, I didn't say, but I've had a lot of international masters tell me my skill level or understanding level is at least 2400 ELO. I just don't perform at that level because I have my own weaknesses that keep me from getting up higher in the rating. But I've got a lot for you, and it's all for your information. I'm not going to take it to the grave, and I plan to live a long time into the future. All right. Thank you so much for your time.